Good morning, everybody. Oh my God, it's echoing here. Miss Hollis, is there echo in here? Do I need to move to a different room?
Yes, there is an echo in there, but you probably don't need to move.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Look at this. No.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to make sure everyone knows that we are starting to stream live to YouTube for most meetings. And so just want to make sure everybody knows we are starting to stream live to YouTube for most meetings, and just want to make sure you're aware of that, such that when you come in, we're going to make sure that you are muted, and then when you need to unmute to ask the question, feel free to do so.
Okay, well, we'll give it just one more minute because people are coming in fast and furious.
8.
What? Yeah.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and start. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second Principal's Coffee, the coffee where we're actually this time can drink coffee since we're on Zoom, and we'll probably go back and forth between Zoom and in person to allow as many people to participate as possible. So good to see you here today. And we are about to end a quarter, believe it or not, in a couple of weeks. October 6th is the last day of the first quarter. And after that, you all will receive in the mail a progress report. It is not a final grade, and final grades are not final now, back when we're back to the normal schedule, are not final till December, till the end of the first semester. So students still have lots of time to work on their grades, get all those assignments in before the grades are final for the first semester, which is be in December. But you will receive a progress report mid-October for the first quarter. Speaking of that, you're also soon, hopefully in the next couple of days, going to receive what's called the family report of the MAP testing. We have finished our first round of MAP testing, which was quite an endeavor. And I want to congratulate Ms. McBride, Ms. Hollis, Ms. Davis, who are really, really key to getting all of that done. It was an arduous process, but we got it done, got all the makeups done. And so now we have some good data that we can use to really give us some direction for the year on where your children, how they're performing at this time. So good for that. You'll get the family report in the mail, hopefully again in the next couple of weeks, the next couple of days. We're going to get those out today. We'll talk just a little bit about that family report in a minute as to what you can expect and what does that mean. So we don't really have I don't have a presentation planned. It's just a chance for you to ask some questions and get some information about what you're curious about here at Midtown High School. And I will go to a little bit about the map at this point, and Ms. Hollis is on here as well. Dr. Blankenship, our counselor, is also in on here too, so that we can answer questions about anything from the counseling realm as well. So Ms. Hollis, take it away. This is kind of our big overall map data.
Ms. Hollis is having technical difficulties over here. Okay. What you're seeing in front of you is I'm sorry, can you see the data?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're seeing in front of you is just a comparison of how everyone fared in the district on the map data. And this is the combined exams, meaning it is both the math and the ELA exam for math. And we were able to test 2,789 exams, and that is combined for math and ELA. And the students, and this assessment is not to assess level of mastery or achievement. It is truly just to assess how well the student did in comparison to themselves. The exam is really meant to look at growth over time and to see, and it's an adaptive test. So it is really measuring how much information the child knows. There is no right or wrong percentage. There is a percentile level or a rich score that students should have at a certain grade band. And so these are the percentile buckets of how students are doing at Midtown with respect to the percentiles. So we have about 10% of the student population that account for 0 to 20th percentile of the national norm data in comparison to that. Then each bucket is another 20 percentile points above. So 42% of the students scored in the 81st to 100th percentile. So that's how you would read this. Additionally, we wanted to make sure that you all had a glimpse at what a MAP family report looks like. And so, Ms. McBrien, I don't know if you want to take over to discuss the family report.
Sure, I can. Ms. Hollis, good morning, everybody. So the MAP family report, this one, because this is establishing our baseline data, is going to give just some fundamental information about your student's level of achievement relative to his or her peers. So for this sample student that you have in front of you, Ms. Hollis, can you scroll down a little bit? Thank you very much. You're going to see, so for math, the national average is plotted along there using the dotted line. And then where this particular student fell, that score of 244. That's the RIT score is what the MAP assessment generates. But what's most important is to sort of see where the student fits along national norms. So for this particular student, this student performed at the 70th percentile. The percentiles mean that student performed better than 70% of students of that particular student's age group. So that's kind of how to read that. And then you're going to get the same information for reading. When you get the next MAP report that's going to come out following our winter assessment window, you're going to have a little bit more information in that report, because that's where we're going to start seeing the students' growth data. And that will be kind of charted out in terms of whether the student was achieving an average level of growth, which would be the expected achievement over that course of time, or if the student was falling behind or farther ahead in terms of growth. So that is what the family report looks like. On the second page, which will be on the back page, you're going to have some questions that might help guide some conversations that you have with your students' teachers to get more information about how to support your students' studies.
Does anybody have questions about that? They'd like to ask Ms. McBrien about the parent report. As I said, you should get this in the mail very soon. In the chat, or just ask questions, anybody? So,
And I will just add, Dr. Bachman, every student had the opportunity to take the MAP assessment in both reading and math. If for some reason your student only has information on the family report for one exam, that means that the student did not report to take the other exam. And we did offer multiple opportunities to take makeups during that assessment window.
there's a question there. Does this only measure, oh, sorry. Can you see that, Ms. McBrien, the question? Okay.
Yes, I can. And yes, this data is normed at each grade level, and that's consistent at all grade levels, K through 12. So it's only norming the students according to their grade level.
What kind of information do the teachers get from this? Like what can teachers use? What do they know now from seeing these results?
Well, Ms. Hollis and I could probably tag team on this, because within the MAP portal for teachers, it does offer a robust amount of data that can help guide instruction. Teachers are likely to start by looking at the class report. That's where they can look at each of their classes at a glance, see where all of their students fell in terms of their RIT scores, and that can help them to start targeting the students that they might want to start digging in a little deeper first. Once they have that information in front of them and they kind of have the lay of the land in terms of that particular class, one of the first steps might be to go in and look at an individual student report, and that is where the data is broken down by various domains, so you can see how students performed on a variety of domains. I believe it's 4 domains within each exam, and then specific skills that the student might be performing well on, and other skills where the student is a little bit behind or even ahead of the curve. It can also help to inform grouping decisions, depending on whether students are going to be grouped in homogeneous groups or heterogeneous groups. So there's a lot of ways that the data can help to inform instruction and really individualize instruction for students.
So what we have shown in front of you are the national achievement norms, and this is how the percentile data is created, and it is by, as Ms. McBrien stated, grade level. And so based on the grade level for reading or grade level for math, this tells you where the 50th percentile would score a RIT score of in the fall administration, winter administration, or spring administration. As Ms. McBrien said, the domains for mathematics are similar to the domains that's given for the milestones. So you have geometry, data, statistic, algebraic, operation, reasoning, and missing one, geometry, data, statistics. Can't think right now, but it's a 4th one. And then with, I guess I could stop sharing and tell you. And then with reading, you have 3 domains: informational text, literature, and vocabulary acquisition. So the teachers are able to get data on each of those domains. And in addition, when they're looking at how students are performing, it also gives them information as to if they have this RIT score and you're teaching this standard, these are some skills that may be prerequisite that will allow students to engage in the material a little bit better if you taught those things. Or if the child is doing really well, how can I stretch based on that standard and that RIT score? The fourth domain was real and complex number systems that I didn't say.
There's a question in the chat. What access is given to students so that they can understand where his or her strengths and weakness may be? So I would encourage, as we mentioned, the family report does give just the information by student performance at the percentile levels based on the norm data. But I would certainly encourage the students to meet with their teachers in order to pull a more robust report and have a robust conversation about student performance in the various domains.
We are planning on having individualized conferences to set growth goals for students that's in that lower percentile. And so they will be meeting with graduation coaches after fall break. After fall break, in order to give them a more detailed picture of how they achieved and what specific skills they would need to master in order to get growth. The norm growth rate is about 4 points over the course of the school year. But if we are intentional, NWEA suggests that students are able to grow at a faster pace than those 4 points.
Other questions? Okay. I do like this screener or this assessment. It is very time consuming on the part of the school, but it gives us a great place to start with students. A lot of the reports are very interesting and are handy to teachers, such as just even graphs or tables as to where, you know, these 12 kids in your class are doing, these 6 are. It just really saves some time on the part of teachers to know exactly on those skills, on those standards where they are. So I like it. I like it a lot. And that we definitely needed something to see where kids are, because most of our kids have not taken any kind of standardized test or anything since 2019. And we got, you know, we have very, very few students take the milestones, which is fine, understandable. So that's not really, that data is not even usable. Those data aren't usable. So.
Question about how many students we tested. Our total school population is a little bit over 1,500, and we did we did administer 94% of the exams that we needed to. So for a student population of 1,500, testing 94% is really excellent.
And really the only students that we may have missed, you know, we've had a large number of students that were in quarantine. And so even though the window for this test was a long time, there's some kids that just missed the whole thing, and they can't take it at home. They can't. So we'll get them again, and we'll get them in November. So, but a really good participation rate for midterm.
Questions popping up in the chat, Dr. Bachman. Is the choice to use this to measure an APS or Midtown decision? This is a district decision. This is a major district initiative for the MAP assessment all the way K to 12. Next question, speaking of milestones that were taken last year, will we ever get those results? We just learned in the testing overview training this past week that the state is no longer mailing milestone score reports. This is the first time that they are not mailing the paper milestone reports, but students' milestone scores will be available in what's called SLDS. It's the state longitudinal data system. And so we will be providing information via the PTSA newsletter on how to access that information through SLDS. So yes, that information will be available, and we are going to share ways to access that data through SLDS.
Okay. All right. So let's switch over quickly to our other screener that we're using at this point. Dr. Blankenship, do you want to reemphasize the best screener that we're using? And you've gotten lots of information about it, but just where we are with that. We're kind of in the middle of the whole process.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bachman. Good morning, everyone. So we have rolled out the BAS 3 Best Universal Behavior Screener from the district. Our students accessed the screener on yesterday. So we've had a total of 1,155 students to take the screener. For those students who were absent on yesterday or did not get an opportunity to take it, we're going to have a makeup day on Monday. Parents, you all should have received some information about the parent portion. There are 3 parts to the screener. There's a parent screener, a student screener, and a teacher screener. And so parents did have the option to opt out for their students to take the student screener. The purpose of the universal screener is to provide supports to all students in all areas. As Ms. Hollis, Ms. McBrien, and Dr. Bachman talked about the academic piece, this is the behavior piece to see how we can support our students. As many of you all know, our students have experienced some challenges since March 2020. So this is an opportunity to really capture what some of our students may be experiencing and for us to provide support. So our students are going to get a report, parents are going to get a report, and on that report, it is going to have a Berry T score. So the Berry T score is in 3 categories: normal risk, elevated risk, extremely elevated risk. And this is based on their norm group, similar to the academic piece. So for students that fall within that normal risk, they will have a Berry T score of 60 or lower. For those that are in the elevated risk, it will be from 61 through 70, and extremely elevated risk is 71 or higher. So once we get the data, the student support team will take a look at those reports. Our students that fall within the category of elevated risk and extremely elevated risk will give us an opportunity to really put some interventions in place for those students. There's an opportunity for students to participate in professional development opportunities to support those students in the classroom. But one of the most important pieces will be for the counselors, the school social worker, our school psychologists, all members of our student support team to provide interventions for those students. We will be meeting with those students. We will be sending a report out to the parents. Parents, if you would like to take the screener for your student, you still have an opportunity to do that. October 1st is the deadline. The screener will then close for the fall administration. There'll also be a spring administration. But we felt it was important for us to really do this with our students, not only because it's coming from the district, but because it will give us some real valuable data in terms of some of the supports that our students need that they may not feel comfortable with talking to their teachers about, or even coming to some of the other student support staff members about, but really being able to share that information and for us to really reach out to them. Now, the teacher screener is based on external factors, things that they may see in the classroom. Do they see hyperactivity? Do they see aggression? Do they see any conduct concerns? But for the student and the parent screener, those questions are more aligned with internal factors around social skills, self-esteem, self-regulation, things of that nature. So once we get an opportunity to look at the report, it will show us if we need to put some tier 2 or tier 3 strategies in place for our students. All of our students get tier 1 strategies in their classroom, but this is an additional step that we'll be able to take to support our students. So parents, if you would like to take the screener, it is still open. October 1 is the deadline. We did send that information out through IC Messenger. It's on our school website, and it'll also be shared on today to come out on Monday through nightly news. So that's where we are with our universal behavior screener.
Questions?
Are there any questions? So there's a question, should parents have received a link to complete the parent portion? Yes, we sent that out through IC Messenger. There's also information on our website, and we will send it out to the nightly news today in order for you all to get that on next week. Are there any other questions as it relates to the universal screener? All right,
Thank you. Okay.
thank you.
We're also, you may hear once in a while an announcement, we're doing our weekly testing, surveillance testing for COVID. So that we usually test about 300 to 350 students every week. And our teachers and staff, all of us are tested twice a week, Tuesday and Friday. All staff are tested twice a week. So we haven't had, well, we usually average maybe one case on our Fridays with our students. And we haven't had any faculty cases really in a long time, since before the school year. So we're doing really well with that. Most of the cases that we have are actually, they're tested out of school, rapid tests or other testing. We don't really identify it here at the school because most of the time the students that are coming for surveillance testing are fully vaccinated, and the breakthrough cases are very small. So that's ongoing, the testing every Friday. Any questions about our COVID testing, surveillance testing, mitigation strategies?
I don't think anything about that has been posted in the chat doc, but we do have a question. I'm gonna, this one is for you, Dr. Blankenship. Who exactly will have access to the student and parent screener results?
Thank you. That's a great question. And so the administrative team will have access to all the screeners. The teachers will have access to their student screeners, the ones that they actually complete on the students, but outside of that, the administrative team, the school district will have access to all screeners. So that is confidential information. We do protect that just like we protect any other student records through FERPA. And of course, parents, you'll have access to your student information.
I'm going to thank this particular community member for the comment about the phone culture. Yes, it's a challenge, especially as students have come back from being virtual for so long. Students are definitely addicted to their phones, addicted to social media. And so this is something that the teachers are addressing every single day. And I know as an administrator, it's something that we are addressing with students on a regular basis as we go in and out of classes. So thank you for your support on that. And, we do ask all families to continue to have conversations with their students that when they're in class, their phones need to be out of sight so that they are not distracted. We really do need to get the students back into fully engaging with instruction and with their teachers instead of isolating themselves on their phones.
They have time to do that at lunch. They have, 38 minutes to do all that they need to do on their device at lunch, but it really is a huge distraction. It prohibits our kids from fully engaging. It's hard for teachers to force a child to do anything. And so we really do need that reinforcement. Also, please keep reinforcing the masks. We're doing well with that, but there is, like everybody, there is.
That's step one, right? So
There is mask fatigue, of course. We're all very tired of the masks, but it's just got it for first semester. That's the district mandate. I don't know what'll happen second semester, but first semester, it is the district mandate. So we're still in our no field trip mitigation strategy. We're not doing field trips, things like that. We're really trying to minimize big groups of kids being together in a closed space, like buses, things like that. Not buses. I don't have any control over the buses in the morning and the afternoon, but everybody's just trying to do their part. So
I have a public service announcement, Dr. Bachman, related to masks. Please send your student to school wearing a mask. They should also have some backup masks in their bags. I do morning cafeteria duty. We give out on average between 150 and 200 masks every morning.
it's a big expense. And then we have masks up here. I'm in the media center actually. So we have masks up here, we have masks everywhere. But it is a huge expense, you know, and these are just the paper masks, you know, that's all they are. So let's see, anything else about COVID? Anything else? Okay. All right.
More questions
Okay,
in the chat,
go ahead.
Doc, if we wanted to address these before they get ahead of us. Any plans for a homecoming dance?
We do not plan to have a big homecoming dance, no. We are planning some activities during the Spirit Week, the week after the break, after the fall break, and our SGA, Student Government Association, is working on that along with some other groups. So, but we will not have a 500-person homecoming dance. No, don't go out and buy dresses. Don't do that. Don't.
All right, question about how successful we think the adoption of Schoology is. There continues to be inconsistency in where and how teachers post assignments. So any update on Schoology adoption?
It's a process, just like when we started Google Classroom, that was a process. You know, Ms. Hollis was reminding, we were talking yesterday on our administrative team meeting about how well we did with being ready for virtual learning. We did a lot of stuff beforehand that enabled us to be really on top of our game when the shutdown happened. So it's a learning management system that most other systems have. Gwinnett, Cobb, they all have a really strong, robust learning management system. And so we are leading the way here at Midtown, but we recognize it's a process for students, teachers, parents. You know, it's going to be all first semester making that changeover. So I know it's, you know, it's just something we have to do. It's, you know, we're doing well with it, but, you know, I recognize the discomfort. Absolutely. So, Mr. Montero, are you on? I wonder if you would just talk a little bit about what's going on in this beautiful media center, which is where I am now. You know, it brings me great pleasure to walk by the media center every day and see lots of kids in here. We have this great new furniture. The kids are reading books, like real books, actually reading books, checking out books, taking advantage of these Macs that we have in here. It's a really great place, but Mr. Montero, will you talk a little bit what's going on?
Yeah, we're doing great here. We've been checking, I think I'm going to run the circulation statistics, but we've been checking more books out than we ever have. I think because a little more visible and kids are really using the space, excited about the space. We've done all our 9th and 10th grade library orientation, where I do an introduction to the library mainly through the ELA classes for all our 9th and 10th graders. We have a lot of new plants here, which is really nice, making it look really, really organic, in addition to high tech. And we are now, I've ordered some, getting our STEAM/maker space, putting that together is the next step. We've got 2 3D printers, a laser engraving machine, and kind of ordering all kinds of what I think are fun arts and crafts kind of technology, from low tech to high tech. So I'm excited to see, I know throughout the orientation, a lot of kids' eyes lit up when I was explaining, you know, the 3D printer, and yeah, the interest of our students ranges from, we have some students who love origami, some students who are really into making their own clothes. So we hope to be able to have a space that's going to accommodate all of that. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, we've got all our new books out. Unfortunately, we were not able to have those displayed, as the library was out of commission all last year, but as all libraries were. But we have new books out, and like I said, we've been checking more books out than ever. It makes me really happy to see kids reading and excited about reading. So we're good. I'm happy.
We do have some great spaces in here for little,
Yes.
I'm in a conference room, but we have a large conference room facing the 10th Street It's just beautiful. Some really great spaces. Yeah.
We've been able to accommodate a lot of people in here without it being too crowded, which is great, especially right now with social distancing. So that's been a real blessing.
Mhm.
I do want to thank all the parents that have donated plants. They look awesome. I don't know if Mr. Montero can turn his camera around and show any of them, but we really appreciate it. He actually said the students have actually enjoyed having the plants in there as well. So we just really, really appreciate the support. It looks like a totally different space having live plants in there and not just books and wood and metal. Adds a different flavor. So the students have recognized it, and we just really appreciate that. But the question in there was, do we need more? I think we're pretty much good on the plants in the media center. However, if you still want to donate some plants, I'm sure some teachers would like to have some, in their classroom. So we will find it a home if you do want to continue to donate. And we appreciate everything that you all have done as parents to help beautify the media center.
Yes. So Ms. Palekia, our 9th grade counselor, and Ms. Hatcher, our 9th and 10th grade coach, have been going around to 9th grade ELA classrooms and just talking about high school with those 9th graders, talking about credits, supports for them, because it really does become real as far as the credits. And sometimes students just don't understand that if they fail a class, in December, it goes on a transcript, they have to redo it. That's a new concept for students coming, from middle school, whereas you didn't have to redo a class, but all classes count for credit in high school. And so there's credit recovery opportunities, but we don't want to even get to that. So we're working on getting kids to know that. And yes, we're going to do that in 10th grade classrooms as well, because I know some 10th graders weren't here. Most of our 10th graders were not here for any of last year. So we are working on that. But it's good to really give our kids to really understand the credits that are key to high school. Let's see what else. Clubs. We have tons and tons of clubs and activities here, sports, academic clubs, all kinds of things, arts and crafts clubs. And we have a good listing of those, who the sponsors are, the days of the week. Mr. Montero keeps that up. It's available on the website. Is that correct, Mr. Montero?
Yes. We've added a couple of new clubs this year, but it's under our school. You can find the Midtown clubs and organizations.
So lots going on. The other day I was walking by Mr. Erskine's room, and they have a board game club, and there were 20 kids in there playing all kinds of board games in there, cards, board games. It was really interesting. I mean, there's just something for everybody. I know that's just a common cliche, but there really is. So, if your child is maybe having trouble, not having trouble, but just is a little slow to engage with some kind of outside activity, you might want to show him or her the list, show them where they are. It becomes a little delicate in high school about pushing kids to join things. They really want to discover that on their own. They want to find their group. And for my own son, who graduated last year, of course, he was a senior, it took him probably really almost a year, but to really get what he wanted to do, which was theater tech, the drama, the theater tech aspect. And once he did, he really found his home and his group. But you just can't force your kids at this age to do anything. So they have to find their own place. So just keep encouraging them to volunteer, to just go to a club once, that kind of thing, or even talk to the sponsor before a meeting about what it really is about. We did just have our student government elections. Lots of people ran for office. We have lots of new officers from the executive council, which is whole school, to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade officers. So that was a good process. Students voted through Schoology, and that went really well. Those things can sometimes be really wonky, but it went really well. Ms. Barber and Ms. Barksdale are working with student government. So, okay, what else do y'all want to know about? questions?
Do you want to share the curriculum night advertisement?
Yes. So some of you may have seen, we're going to have a virtual curriculum night. And we've been working on that. Ms. Hall show the flyer. I did see the flyer. It's on the Facebook page, the Grady Facebook page. It'll be in the nightly news this week.
Entonces, estuvieron en México, estuvieron ahí tocando.
So just an overview, it's going to be a 3-night process. On the first night, you'll get the school overview. Because of the variants, we're trying to keep everything virtual, but still make it feel like you are meeting one-on-one with the instructors. So there were certain things that we're trying to make sure you still have access to. So we are putting on this flyer links to see overall data for the school, what information you can get from the school website, what information you can get from the Midtown profile. How can I find out information about my students' classrooms specifically on their website? Then on September 29th at 6:30, you can join the Midtown YouTube channel for a live stream on information about what happened last year, data, upcoming information that's going to happen this year, just highlights from previous year. And then on the 4th and 5th of October, excuse that typo because it hasn't been changed, we just changed it to the 5th today to honor the fact that we have a 4-day weekend starting the evening of the 6th. So on the 4th and 5th of October, at various times, you can almost meet one-on-one, depending on how many parents log in to the teacher's Zooms. And so we are not going to advertise those links publicly because we want to protect what's going on in the Zoom. So what you'll have to do is get the links from the teacher's Schoology account. From a parent view, there is a folder that says important information, and there's a link for Zoom there. And so at these various times on those 2 days, you can see your student's CTAE teacher, JROTC teacher, or math teacher on October 4th from 6 to 6:25, where you'll get a quick overview, and then you'll be able to ask any individual questions, not specifically about grades, but specifically to the teacher. So that is what's going on those 2 nights. Of course, the live stream will be recorded. The actual teacher office hours, no, they will not be recorded. But while you're here, if you have any questions that you want to have addressed during the live stream event, we are requesting that you enter those questions into a form document so we can have the questions ready before the event happens, and that we're addressing all of the questions that parents may have. So I'm going to drop the link in this form right now, so that if you have some questions that you would like addressed, you'll have opportunity to go ahead and start giving us those questions now. When you're in the course itself that a teacher has, if you look under materials, you should see a page with important information, a folder, and that folder will have the Zoom link that you need for that day.
Okay. What else? What other questions, comments that anyone would like to make in our coffee this morning?
Question, what is the policy if a student is exposed to COVID?
You mean like what's the procedure? What happens then?
Yes, it says, what's the policy if a student is exposed to COVID?
So if we have a positive case, we do contact tracing. So it's we look at all teachers have a seating chart in their classroom, and so what we look at is kids that were within 6 feet of that child, and we send out self-reports to the parents of those children, and hopefully get those back really quickly. If a student is not vaccinated and was in close contact, then that student is quarantined. The close contact, if they're not vaccinated, quarantined. And we work with the Nurse Taylor on that. If you are vaccinated and not showing symptoms, the close contacts, and the student can remain at school. If you're a positive case, of course, you're isolated at home. You're quarantined, but isolated at home if you're a positive case. If a student is quarantined for either positive case or close contact reasons, and they're at home, they can access the classroom through Zoom. The teachers open up links for those students, and the student can access assignments in Schoology and turn those in. So that's what happens. We had a huge number of students quarantined a couple of weeks ago, but it's closed. It's slowed down a lot now. We had a positive case yesterday, and so we did close contact. Every day, almost every day, we have a positive case, and we have to go through this process. But a lot of times, all the kids in contact are vaccinated and not showing symptoms, which is great. But there are kids that have to remain home for the quarantine period and access through Schoology and Zoom. Other questions about comments about that procedure? Okay. Other comments or questions, please feel free to speak up or write in the chat. We have a few more minutes. I'm not able to see the chat. For some reason, my screen is frozen, but somebody can tell me what the question is or concern.
Question about Infinite Campus, the parent portal. Yes, it's still 100% functional. That is the official record-keeping data bank for the district. That's where all official attendance is taken and all official grades are posted. So yes, Infinite Campus is 100% functional.
I do want to tell you that there are changes with that parent portal as to how to see the grades. So you have to make sure you are in term 1 to see the grades now that are occurring now. After the fall break, then you'd be able to see the grade in term 2, and the final grade will be posted under term 2. So there's like a little confusion about where to find grades, and we discussed that at the last School Coffee. And as far as how to use Schoology as a parent, we had a parent lunch and learn a couple weeks ago, and that video is recorded and it is posted to the Midtown YouTube channel. So please feel free to go back and watch that at your leisure. And during that time, a parent actually was gracious enough to allow us to view into her account, and we walked through how to see and how to get to certain things as a parent. The parent account does look very similar to the student's account. You just don't have as much visibility. So you're able to see contents posted under materials. You're able to see updates that's streamed, but you just will not be able to submit assignments, and see tests. So you have much more visibility whenever you want at the in Schoology versus waiting for the feedback every week update from Google Classroom.
Ms. Hall's question in the chat about the grades showing up under term 2. Do we just ignore that because they're different than what's showing in term 1?
I'm sorry, you're right. You only look at term 2 and term 4. My bad. We are in term 1, the grades show in term 2, because that's where the grades are posted. Thank you for that correction, because I did say that backwards. We're in term 1, but all grades post to term 2. And then after January, all grades will be posted in term 4. So if you're looking and you're under term 1, you're not going to see anything. And you're going to feel like the parents, the teachers are not posting grades. But when you click on term 2, you'll be able to see the whole list of all grades that's happened since August. Thank you for that correction. I misspoke. I'll say, like Ms. McBride says, I didn't have my coffee, except I don't drink coffee. So it is only going to be posting in term 2 and term 4. That is the only place that you'll be able to see grades. As far as community service, if you go to, I think Dr. Blankenship is still on the line, but if you go to the counselors page, it will tell you how to submit your community service hours and I would encourage even 9th graders that are using, doing community service now to go ahead and start posting their hours, because they add up. It keeps track of the hours over the course of your matriculation through high school. And that is a high school requirement to have, I think, 50, 75.
75.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Blankenship.
Thank you. So let me add to that. So for this year, the class of 2022, they are only required to have 40 hours. The district approved that due to COVID. Many of our students have not had an opportunity because of the pandemic to work towards community service hours. So it's 40 hours for the class of 2022. All other classes after that is still 75 hours required for those students. For students who have logged hours in mobile serve, those hours are still visible to students. Those students can print those hours off and give the school counselor a copy of their service resume. Mobile serve is a platform that we used previously, and moving forward, we will not be using mobile serve. Our district is currently looking at another platform and vetting that process. So once we get that information in the go from the district, we will share that information out in regards to the new electronic platform. Currently, as Ms. Hollis stated, students can log their hours using their community service log form that is found on the school counselor's site under counseling forms and downloads. And I believe that was also sent out through the nightly news as well. So that is how students will log their hours currently. Our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students will begin logging their hours in the electronic platform once we get the green light from the district. If seniors currently have hours in mobile serve, again, those hours are currently available to them and they can still access and download those hours. Are there any other questions as it relates to how to log community service hours? All right, thank you.
What else? I have a few more minutes. What else?
2 things in the chat, Doc, that I'll address: restrooms and grades. So we have had several challenges regarding the restrooms. One of them has been completely resolved, and that was the issue with the plumbing. We did have some problems getting the water pressure balance, and they had to bleed some air from the pipes, and that caused some challenging days, but that was resolved a couple of weeks ago. So we are, it's all smooth flushing in the restrooms right now. The second issue that we've had has been this issue with vandalism. I want to thank the families who have supported us in our efforts to squash that. I can say with confidence that the number of instances has been greatly reduced, especially since Dr. Bachman sent her email out to the community. I do think that the students did catch word that we were issuing swift and strong consequences to the students that we were able to catch who were doing that. So we are continuing to work on that aspect of our school culture. It was really tragic. And I think that, you know, for those of us who love this school so much, it was really painful to see a brand new gorgeous facility getting torn up like that. So thank you so much to all of you for your support in that. Question in the chat was about a teacher not entering grades on a regular basis and then dropping a lot of grades all at once. That should not be happening. So teachers have an expectation of entering a minimum of 1 grade per week. There should not be any large number of grades entered all at one time, because that causes students and their families to not have an accurate picture of where the grade is at that time. So if you are unfortunately seeing that with any of your students' teachers, please reach out to your student's assistant principal via email or phone call. Let us know, and then we'll work with the teachers on that. I don't ever remember which chunk of the alphabet the other APs have. I have students' grades 10 through 12, L through O. That's me. Mr. Vincent has all of the 9th grade. Ms. Hollis, you have 10 through 12 letters.
H through K.
Okay. Ms. Davis has the first chunk of the alphabet, and Mr. Howard has the last portion of the alphabet. So it's also on the Midtown website if you need to review who the APs are.
I want you to feel comfortable, parents, about letting us know that, because having that balance and that flow consistency is really important for all students to get a really accurate picture. So don't feel like you're, I mean, you can also, the student first needs to just ask his or herself to the teacher, you know, want to make sure you got this grade, got this assignment, that kind of thing. And then, but, you know, we can follow up. It's important to have that consistency. So.
And again,
I appreciate you letting me know, parents, when that happens, because it, you know, it helps us to manage that. It's really, there is a report that all of this is very time consuming, that we can check that. But if there's an issue, just let us know. You know, a good thing is, as opposed to last year, grades again are only posted once, which is the end of the semester. So a grade that's posted now, or a grade that was posted at the 4.5 week, is not permanent. It doesn't go on the transcript. So
I see that
again, just make sure that you are looking under the right term when you say that the teacher is not posting a grade, because we do monitor, and majority of the time the grades are there. It's a matter of making sure you can see them, or you can reach out to the admin directly in email, and just, you know, if you don't know, you can ask that question. We do have 2 parents that's been patiently waiting to ask the question.
Hi, Dr. Blankenship, I just want to confirm I understand, because in the nightly news, I think I pressed the button to go to when it said the format for logging hours has changed, and it took me to mobile serve. So several parts to the question is that where they're supposed to be logging hours until the new platform is in place?
So I believe that has been taken off, because previously mobile serve was in nightly news, but I dropped a link in the chat box. It takes you to the counselor's page, forms and downloads, and there is a log there. So
Okay.
Right now, students aren't logging in mobile serve because we no longer use that platform. But in the future, we will get another one and we'll put it there.
Okay, and then the hours that were in mobile serve, those will be somehow carried over?
Yes, those are available to students.
Okay.
They're still visible. So I would encourage students right now to download that service resume, or print it to have a copy of it. But for those who do not, they can still log in their account and see their community service hours. They're just not able to log any future hours.
Okay, and second part is the 75 hours, is that a foregone conclusion for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders? Okay.
Yes.
Because they kind of lost the opportunities too for that, well, at least 10th and 11th graders and 12th graders.
Right. So you know, maybe the district will have some discussion, you know, around that to take into consideration. We're definitely, you know, discussing that and pushing that up to, you know, senior leadership. So hopefully there will be some additional discussion about those students that missed over a year to be able to participate in community service initiatives.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, any last remaining questions? Anything in the chat?
I'm trying. I was waiting to be recognized. This is Carolyn McLaughlin. I'm going to go back to the cell phone phenomenon. I know when my older daughter was at Grady, I had to sign a form that said that they were not allowed cell phones at school. So first of all, I guess, is that not the policy anymore for APS? And then secondarily, if it's not the policy for APS, do you think there's interest in the administration and the faculty for creating some kind of phone checking system so that we reduce the number of phones that are actually in the classroom? I know I've seen news stories of schools that at the beginning of the day, they have a whole check system, like a coat checking system, and the phones are checked for the entire day. And maybe that's like the most like the ideal, wonderful thing, but maybe maybe the group of parents and administrators could create different scenarios where a teacher could do that in their own classroom. So I guess, is the policy still no phones at school? And if that's not the case, would there be any interest in creating a phenomenon where the students were encouraged to check their phones?
There is not a policy prohibiting phones at school. That's not a policy in APS. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, students are allowed to have electronic devices in schools. We've tried a number of systems before to try to curtail phone use, personal phone use. We've bought pouches to put on desks. We've bought those like shoe racks, cabinets, all kinds of things for students to put their phones in. There's no way we could collect 1,500 phones every morning and then redistribute them. That's the problem, is we can't be responsible for that. We don't have a way, I'd have to put somebody on that all day to do that. So there's just not a way to do that. Phone use is just too far gone to try to rein that in like that. You try to take a student's cell phone away, and that causes real problems. I'm just going to tell you in the realistic sense of what happens here. You have to think about it. I think about it personally too. If somebody told me you cannot use your cell phone at all during the day, you have to put it up, or I'm going to take it from you. It's just a difficult situation now. We ask teachers to, and they tell students to put it up. They tell them, put it up, and then they can write a discipline referral for continual use. And especially if it gets into that kind of verbal tussle, we don't want, we try so hard to create relationships, positive relationships in the classroom. And, I tell teachers, I don't want you to be in a position where you're arguing with a child, especially in front of other students, to where it gets into that, who's going to win, that power struggle that is just very unhealthy for a classroom. So we ask teachers to write referrals if the student just will not put them up. And
I'm not naive to that situation, but it seems that perhaps there could be some ideas around, like, if we're offering community service hours for certain things, maybe if you check your phone for the day, you get a half an hour of service hours. Or if cell phone use in the classroom is a problem, it seems like continued efforts to try to mitigate that would be helpful. But I do understand how attached students are to their cell phones, and I'm not naive about that. So I'm not suggesting that those things not be acknowledged, but it doesn't seem like, as if it's a problem for the administrators, that we should just say, oh, it's just a problem and we can't do anything about it.
No, as I said, we do have discipline consequences. We have behavior consequences for that. Teachers write them up. write a referral for continual use, that kind of thing. We call parents, possible ISS and school suspension for continual use, that kind of thing.
But what if there was some kind of positive reinforcement, like, talking about, you could do a campaign about how challenging, digital use is for brain function, and do a little like PR campaign, and then maybe have a week where people tried to stay off their phones for a certain number of hours and there's some kind of challenge, and made it a positive discipline action instead of a negative one.
Good idea. Good idea. Yeah.
Is that something that you think there are any teachers that feel strongly about that they would want to work on that, or someone in the administration, or maybe some students need to get involved in that? How do you think would be a good way to work on that?
It's possible something that student government definitely could look at. They're looking at a number of ways that student government can help with, from the bathroom thing to all kinds of things that would improve operations around the school. So I think that would be a good thing for them to take on as well. They have quite a large student government association, so we can bring that up to them. But you've just brought it up, so we'd have to talk to teachers, things like that. I have to get that information out. So
what's how can I help with that?
If you'd like to talk to the student government leaders, that's Miss Barksdale and Miss Barber, to bring them an idea.
Barksdale and Barber?
Two teachers that are leading student government with the students this year.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else from anyone? Okay, as always, look for the nightly news and make sure your contact information is always up to date, because I send out quite a few things through the Infinite Campus system. And so your emails need to be, and cell phones need to be accurate. So thank you to my faculty that have been on here, helping out with the questions and answers. I really appreciate it. So, okay, everybody have a beautiful fall weekend, and talk to you soon.